All right, so far we've done the power rule, the product rule. Today we're going to do the chain rule. First, I'm going to get us started with the power rule, just a little warm up here. So I have y equals 7x cubed plus 4x squared plus 5x plus 10. So y prime is going to equal. If you don't know the power rule by now, you'll be hurting in college when you have to take calculus. So 3 times 7 is 21x, and then you subtract 1 from that, squared. 2 times 4 plus 8x, subtract 1 from the 2, so that gives me to the first. I'm going to leave it like that. The slope of the line, y equals 5x plus 10, it's just 5. That's your derivative using the power rule. Number 2, I'm going to do a product rule. So I'm just going to do the actual note, y equals u times v. So I have some quantity u times some quantity v. The product rule states that y prime is going to equal u times the derivative of v plus v times the derivative of u. Let's do an example of that. Number 3, y equals 7x cubed times e to the x. I'm going to label this as u. I'm going to label this as v. U is 7x cubed. V is e to the x. I'm going to crack it down the middle like an egg, and then I'm going to set up a template. The derivative of u, 3 times 7, is 21x minus 1 from that, squared. So that's my du. That's my derivative of u. The derivative of e to the x, if we recall, is just e to the x. That's my dv. Now, I have my product rule just chilling up there. So my y prime is going to equal u dv. So that's going to be 7x cubed times e to the x plus v du. My v is e to the x times 21x squared. See if I can't fit it on my paper. U dv plus v du. The next group I'm going to use is ln x. No, I'm sorry, e to the x. So recall, y equals e to the x. The derivative of that, y prime, is going to also equal e to the x. We're going to use that little bit of knowledge to do the next couple of problems. Number 5, y equals e to the 7x cubed. So all I'm going to do to find the derivative is first copy down e to the 7x cubed. But notice now it's not just an x in the exponent, it's a 7x cubed. So what I want to do is I want to come back and take the derivative of 7x cubed, and that's the chain rule. When you take the derivative of the outside, then you go back and you take the derivative of the inside. So the derivative of 7x cubed is 21x squared times e to the x. Number 6, y equals 7 e to the 3x squared. The derivative, y prime, is going to equal, that 7 stays out front. Now, I'm going to take the derivative of 3x squared, which is 2 times 3, 6x. Then I'm going to multiply that times e to the 3x squared. Notice the 7 stayed down. The e to the 3x squared stayed there. The only thing that extra came down was the 6x. Now I'm going to spruce this up a little bit. Y prime equals 7 times 6 is 42x times e to the 3x squared. Number 7. Give it a try on your own. Y equals 5e to the 4x. Go ahead, excuse me, pause the video and see if it works. See if you can do it. Y prime is going to equal, I'm going to keep the 5, e to the 4x, 5 e to the 4x. Then I go back and I take the derivative of the guts. What's the derivative of 4x? That's just 4. So I'm going to multiply that out in front. What's 4 times 5? And that stays. Now, I'm going to go from E to ln, number 8. Remember, y equals ln x. That derivative, y prime, is going to equal just 1 over x. Again, I believe I told you the memory mnemonic I use. I cross out the n, and that looks like 1 divided by x. Number 9. Y equals ln of 5x squared plus 7x plus 9. Now, to take the derivative of this, I'm going to use that same idea. It's just 1 over the function. So y prime is going to equal 5x squared plus 7x plus 9, but I can't just put a 1 on top. I actually have to put the derivative of the guts on top. It's the derivative of the outside times the derivative of the guts. So the derivative of the guts is 10x plus 7. Number 10. Y equals ln of 4x cubed plus 7x. Y prime is going to equal, big division bar, 4x cubed plus 7x goes on the bottom. And then what goes on the top is the derivative of the guts, 12x squared plus 7. Number 11, this one's a little peculiar. Y equals ln of 3x. Y prime equals 3x on the bottom, but then what goes on top is the derivative of 3x. The derivative of 3x is just 3. So notice these are going to simplify out. And the derivative, y prime, is going to equal 1 over x. That's a what the heck. Notice it's the same as just ln x. So if you have that constant in there, you can just forget about it. I never do, so I have to do it the whole process. All right, now we're going to do some radicals. Y equals square root x. This is a nice one to get the hang of. Y prime is just going to equal division bar with the 2 on the bottom and the original function square root x on the bottom with it. And then the derivative of x is just 1. So that's my answer for the derivative of the square root of x. Number 13. Y equals the square root of 5x cubed plus 7x. The derivative of that, y prime equals, big division bar, 2 square root. And inside the square root, I put the 5x cubed plus 7x. And then the derivative of the guts is 15x squared plus 7. Number 14, y equals the square root of 7x to the 5th plus e to the x. Y prime is going to equal, big division bar, 2 square root 7x to the 5th plus e to the x. And then what goes on top is the derivative of the guts. So it's going to be 35x to the 4th plus e to the x.